Hello, everybody. This is Love from Above with your Sibling Spirit Guides. I'm Maureen, and this is my brother.
Hi everyone, this is Brian.
In this podcast, we share channelings we receive from star beings, ascended masters, and occasionally our ancestors. And today's topic is new information. And this is not information you can get on your news. No, it's not going to be on any television, but it's breaking news from interstellar breaking news, and I'm really excited about what we've assembled today. So, Brian, you want to kick it off?
Absolutely. So this came from April 27th of this year, and it said, "We come forth to share news of a recent development that benefits all of humankind." So I'm all for that, right? The mass that the rulers enforced upon the general public shall be gradually reduced so that all beings may see clearly. We are most excited by this recent development as it will foster and allow greater cooperation between the species. And so, just to add, it also aligns with a book about Ashtar Sheeran that I'm reading. It mentioned the same exact thing, and it said that my quote was, or the basic essence of what it said there, that mind slides cover our third eye, preventing us from seeing other dimensions, and that it's slowly going to be removed. They said it couldn't happen all at once where people would freak out, but that it is slowly being removed. And so, what are your thoughts on this, Maureen?
Okay, I'm all for this because, as you know, I've seen since I was a child, and the way that I would describe it is, if you went outside and you looked at the sun and you could see the brilliance of the sun shining down on it, and you could feel the warmth on your skin. And if you said to somebody like, "Oh, look at the sun, isn't it so beautiful today?" And they'd be like, "Well, what sun?" And so that's what it was like for me. I would say to our mother, like, there's somebody in my closet, and it's your imagination. There's nobody there. Well, there's still somebody in my closet. Always beings who are standing out just outside the door frame. Some beings, I don't, for whatever reason, cannot be in the same room as you, but they like to stand just outside. And so anyway, I just love it. The older that I get, the more people are in alignment with what has been a truth for my whole life. So, yay.
Yeah, yeah. So this is awesome. A great news. So they go on to say we come forth to urge cooperation in the present time as bonds of love foster now. I don't know if this makes sense. Foster now can generate and spawn new life forms which will endure throughout the ages. So that's a little cryptic, but you know, what did you? And then they go on to talk about how the endless possibilities can occur. So all sorts of things. Um, do you want to
Yeah,
go
they
ahead?
go on and say that any new possibility can occur. We encourage human life forms to reach for the stars for what they see as possibilities. Anything can come true. Purple skies, green grass, blue oceans. These are normalities. However, they can easily change with the press of the button. Um, First of all, I thought it was interesting the language that they use, the bonds of love. The episode that we had when we talked about help from above, that's very similar to the language that Metronon gave us, where he talked about this was a morning prayer that Brian and I do every day, and it's that morning prayer is I call on the archangels and Metronon to rush forth and offer assistance at this important time. Um, I am grateful for the archangel's help in securing bonds of love that will benefit all. So it's almost the same language. And then with regards to the purple skies and the green grass, one of my favorite artists is Van Gogh. And when you look at his artwork, like quite often his trees will literally be purple. And he could have blue grass but it looks, obviously you recognize what it is and it's prized artwork. So I guess we need to look at the world around us like an artist.
Right. And also goes into, it's sort of what we're seeing is not really reality, right? So that's where it gets into it. But it's interesting how um, with the change of with a press of a button, these things can be changed. So maybe we'll start to see some of those things. I'm all for it. So this is, so this is one of multiple sessions we had where they had multiple times where they said, they had some new information. And so I sort of strung all these together. So the next one was from the Watchers, and they came to say, we come forth to usher in a new era with a higher capacity technology to upgrade the human frame. I'm all for that. What do you think, Maureen?
Yeah, and again, that goes along with a lot of information. Was it Dolores Cannon where she was talking about the DNA
DNA.
strands were going to
Yeah.
be increased, and I know other books that we've read talked about we're going to a crystallized form of our bodies. So that's been repeated in a lot of other materials that we've read. They also went on to say the old model no longer suffices in these revolutionary times. It is time to update and upgrade the general form of your being. This can easily be done through meditating that I utilized this morning when I was channeling that. And that is, Brian found these great meditations by Maureen St. Germain that are on Spotify. And the particular meditation that they were referencing was this golden light meditation, which is really beautiful. You visualize this golden light like coming down your street and into your home and then through your whole being. And it's a favorite of mine. I don't know. What about for you, Brian?
It is. I think I used to do it more regularly and then I haven't, but since I got this message, I've been doing that on a more regular basis as well. So yeah, it's interesting that that meditation is it can upgrade the human frame. You're right. I mean, we've had different messages of them working on upgrading our specific frames for different things. So that's been an ongoing, messages we've received over time. So yeah, it's really nothing new, but it's interesting to see that we can help foster this with just this meditation we do on a regular basis anyway. So that makes it easy enough, right?
Right, right. So I'll go on. The next session came through with May 23rd, and this is from the Watchers who right now we're hearing from the most often. And they said, we bring forth good news. The utterances of the one creator have been recognized and heard throughout the galaxies of universes. Many assemble at this time to reunify the threads and bonds of brotherhood and sisterhood. This is done through dancing, feasting, and jovial games, which we enjoy to herald this new dawn, not only for humanity. And they were laughing, thinking because they think that we're the only ones who kind of hoop and have been elevated to the light. Brian, can you explain that better?
Yeah, so they said everyone's been elevated with the light. Uh, there has been separation. So, I don't know. It seems like there is this, they also talk about this fork in the road. There's people on the light path and maybe the others that aren't. but that everyone that's being elevated, this is some recent event that they talk about because they talk about the duality of the past has like a fork in the road, and it's splitting up into two directions. And it's that this is what has occurred recently on your planet. So there's more joy to behold, um, and so notice the joy around you and celebrate every unique opportunity that befalls each individual on a daily basis. For every day is unique, regardless of whether what's going on. So yeah, it's sort of like just in noticing the beauty on everything, like a butterfly. I was outside the name, this really beautiful butterfly was just flying all around me, and just like things like that, right? Just noticing little things like that, and being more observant of those type of things. Is that
Well,
essentially part of it?
well, the duality part, that one reminds me, I don't know if any of you have read or listened to the sessions of the Law of One by Ra. And those occurred like in the late, I want to say like from 1979 to like 1982. And it was three students at the or three people at the University of Michigan. I don't know that they were students, but and there was the channeler, the scribe, and the questioner, and they contacted with this being called Ra. And Ra said that they were here because, do you remember they kept on saying, it is the time of the harvest. It is the time of the harvest, meaning exactly what this is talking about, the duality, the fork in the road, where it was a choice between, according to them, service to self or service to others. And you had to make that choice. And there was a split in the road. And they said, according to the creator, like it didn't really matter if you chose service to self or service to others, but a choice had to be made. So that's what that reminds me of. Would you agree?
Yeah, and I don't know. It's talking about. I think we've read things that like we're heading to sort of this duality is eventually going to go away when the ascension process, and you know we're not going to have to deal with that in the fifth dimension itself, or even the fourth dimension. But so I think we've been reading a lot about this. So it's the process is starting. I don't think it's maybe going to take time and things, but it's just something that is something we've read a lot in Dolores Cannon and a lot of different books about sort of this process. So I think it aligns with everything we've read, but it's just interesting that um, this is occurring, recently on our planet. So it's something that I'm excited about for sure.
You know what else it reminds me of? Again, Maureen St. Germain, who Brian was the first one to find her, and we both finished one of her books recently. And she states quite emphatically that karma is over.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
karma is representative like the duality, and there's no more karma. So, um, I've heard that from someone else too. I can't remember who, but so it's happy that they're celebrating this huge shift. I think so many times as if with anything in your life, you're in the midst of it and you don't really realize that a significant event has occurred. So I don't think we realize that we've shifted out of duality. We've shifted past karma. I mean, let's do a round of applause for that one.
Does that
Um,
clear your karma that you still are, what was it? You're at not at parity with me in the karmic realm from
oh yeah. So Brian, so for this is so funny. So Brian wanted to do a past life regression. And, past life regressions are kind of my specialty. When I worked professionally as a psychic, I'm like, Brian, why would you pay someone a lot of money? Like, I'll do a past life regression. Well, I should have allowed him to go to somebody else because I pulled a couple of lives for him. But the one I pulled for him is we were both in Egypt together. And yeah, I murdered Brian.
Yes. Yes.
And I keep on trying to get him to go back. I've been to Egypt twice, and I really believe like that is home. That is a sacred center of the planet, at least for me. And I want Brian to come back. And Brian, you're feeling kind of reluctant to go back to Egypt with me, huh?
I just say I have some bad karma there. I'm not sure if I'm ready to go back. We will do that definitely. But yeah. So I was tease her about killing me in my past life, and so
Well, here's the thing. Apparently, I was Hatshepsut, which actually, when I was in Egypt, they told me that I was My guide told me he was like, "You were Hatshepsut in your last life." And Brian, yeah, I did murder him, but I keep on telling him it was for the good. It was for the good of the country. Like he was not effectively ruling. Like I had to step in.
I like the rationalization, but I'm still not buying it. But
So we need to go back to Egypt and I need to make parody on that past lifetime. But you can totally believe that because what they say is that usually, people are thrust together who do need, yeah, there's no more karma, but when we were definitely born and brought into this life, there was karma to be worked out. And can I say I'm sorry again, Brian?
well, I think we um covered what I want to cover, but in closing, I like this quote from the last session we were talking about, and it talks about the flower basket or the pretty bird that you notice is an adequate analogy for wandering through life and how much you can appreciate what has been given to you in your day is a question we bestow to the brother and sister pair. Focus on what works and what brings you pleasure, which, yeah, I think.
Into that.
I mean,
So
so,
thank you everybody for listening.
and we'll talk to you next week. Again, any questions or comments, you can be reached at lovefromabovepodcast@gmail.com. And we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks so much.